G'day, I'm Grant Lindsay, President and Board Chair of the Australian Federation of Disability Organisations, or AFDO. I'm coming to you today from the traditional lands of the Lenape people. They knew this area as Manhattan, we know it as Manhattan, and I acknowledge their leaders, past, present and emerging. I also recognise people living with a disability, not just from our AFDO or Australian community, but from the broader global community. It's estimated that 16% of the global population live with a disability. That's 1.3 billion people. And when you expand that to include families and carers, that's a powerful voice that needs to be heard and listened to. We're coming to you from the United Nations, where we're attending the Conference of State Parties on the Convention of Rights for People with a Disability. It's the 18th such conference, so it's known as CoSP18, or more simply CoSP. The AFDO delegation is part of the broader Australian delegation, of which there are three components. The civil society organisations, which includes AFDO, the state parties, DSS and DFAT, and this Human Rights Commission. So Rosemary Caius is here with us as well. Now, my perspective is our attendance here at CoSP provides us the opportunity, firstly, to be seen by the governments of the world as being people with disability engaged in our human rights and equity in all things. But more specifically for the AFDO delegation, I have two aims. The first is to provide a deep learning experience and mentoring for our youth delegates. And once again, we have two delegates attending CoSP this year. Tim Hart, who is the Independent Director for International Engagement on the AFDO board, and Alex Tofler, who is a disability advocate at Monash University for students attending the university. Yesterday, Tim gave a powerful presentation from the floor of the general debate and called for the development of a global coalition to further youth leadership in the disability space. And I urge you to look for his presentation online and listen to it. It's quite powerful. Alex has been furthering his networks and meeting with other youth delegates from around the world, and I'm sure he'll return from this experience with much broader understanding of disability advocacy and preparedness to be a leader in that space. The other is the opportunity for our delegation more broadly to further and develop our networks, not just with our Pacific and Commonwealth partners, but more broadly in the global level. And for us to listen, learn and share from our respective experiences. And I'll give two quick examples from many of the events that I've already attended. The first on Tuesday was the launch by the World Health Organization of their global initiative into health equity for people with disabilities. That event was one of the co-sponsors was the Australian government, and Dirk Platson from DFAT spoke about Australia's IDEA strategy and how that strategy interweaves with the global initiative and promotes equity for people with disabilities, specifically within the Pacific region. The second, yesterday afternoon, was hosted by the Irish government and co-sponsored by New Zealand and Sierra Leone. The topic was the engagement of people with disability in the development of national disability strategies. And of course, Australia has its own disability strategy, and Jane Spring AO, the chair of our advisory committee to the strategy, is also part of the AFDO delegation. But back to the event itself. It was powerful to listen to both government and disabled people, their experiences and the lessons that were learnt in the engagement processes in the development of the most recent iteration of the Irish disability strategy. They certainly recognise that it wasn't perfect and lessons have been learnt, continue to be learnt, and these will be applied through the implementation phase of their strategy. Similarly, presentations from New Zealand and Sierra Leone provided similar evidence of engagement and the empowerment of people with disability in the development of their respective strategies. The other thing to note was that the Irish experience, they have a hybrid department for disability, very similar to where we are shifting in Australia. In their case, it's the Department for Children, Disability and equality. And yes, there was some discussion about equality versus equity, with the latter being preferred, and the right that we should have. In the New Zealand and Sierra Leone case, they actually have dedicated standalone ministers and departments for disability. So the Minister for People with Disability in New Zealand and the Ministry for Disability in Sierra Leone. And their minister actually spoke to the event. As you would know, AFDO with other DROs lobbied strongly for the establishment of a dedicated minister and department for disability in the Australian context. It didn't quite get there this time, but we hope that the development of the hybrid department will be the first step. So I look forward to returning to Australia with the delegation and the lessons that we have all learnt to pass those on to the broader community. Thank you.